Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, there comes a time in life when silence starts to hurt more than words, when staying quiet becomes heavier than speaking up. That is the moment you must decide either stay small or stand tall. And I'm here to tell you, stand tall. Stand up for yourself. You were not born to be invisible. You were not created to live your whole life making everyone happy while your own heart cries quietly. Life is not meant to be lived in the background. So even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, speak. Say what you feel. Say what you need. Say what you will not tolerate anymore. Sometimes people will tell you, just adjust, stay quiet, don't make it a big deal. But listen, your peace of mind is a big deal. Your worth is not based on how much pain you can hide with a smile. You matter. And the world needs to know that you are not here to be walked over. You are here to walk forward. Yes, standing up for yourself is not always easy. It may feel lonely. Some people may not like it when you start saying no, but those who truly care about you will respect your voice. And those who don't, well, they're only clapping when you are quiet. Sometimes we think silence is strength. We believe that if we keep our feelings hidden, we're being mature. If we don't complain, we're being wise. If we let things go, we're being patient. And yes, silence has its moments. But when silence becomes our only language, it turns into a cage. And the longer you stay in that cage, the more you forget how to fly. Speaking up is scary, especially when you've spent your whole life being told to stay quiet. Maybe every time you try to say something, someone shut you down. Maybe you were laughed at or ignored or made to feel small, so you learned to stay silent. You learned that your voice didn't matter. And now, even when your heart is screaming, your lips stay still. But here's the truth no one tells you. Your voice is your power. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Every time you choose to speak instead of staying silent, you take a step closer to becoming who you truly are. Even if your words come out broken, even if your hands shake, even if your voice trembles like a leaf in the wind, speak. It takes courage to say, "This hurt me." It takes strength to say, "I deserve better." And it takes everything in you to say, "No, I won't allow this anymore." But that courage, that shaky, messy, emotional courage, that's the kind that changes your life. The world teaches us to smile and nod, to blend in, to be nice. But being nice doesn't mean being silent. Being nice doesn't mean being used. Being nice doesn't mean swallowing every bitter word just to keep the peace. Your truth deserves to be heard, not just whispered in the dark, but spoken out loud in the daylight. You might not get the reaction you want. People might not understand you. Some might get uncomfortable. Some might walk away. But those are not your people. The people who love you, really love you, will lean in, they will listen, they will adjust. But none of that can happen unless you speak first. There is no perfect moment to speak up. You won't always have the right words. You won't always feel ready. That's okay. Say it anyway. Say it scared. Say it softly. Say it with tears in your eyes if that's what it takes. Because once you start, something shifts. The weight on your chest starts to lift. The storm inside your mind begins to calm. And slowly, you begin to feel free. You don't have to shout. You don't have to argue. You just have to stop hiding your truth. You owe that to yourself. The world doesn't need more quiet suffering. It needs more brave voices. It needs more people who are willing to say, "This is who I am and this is what I need." Every time you speak up, you're telling the world that you matter, that your story matters, that your feelings are real, and maybe, just maybe, someone else who's been quiet for too long will hear you and find their own voice too. When you speak up, you're not just healing yourself. You're creating space for others to do the same. That's how change begins. Not with noise, but with honesty. Not with rage, but with truth. Even if that truth comes out in a shaky voice. There's a difference between being quiet and being silent. Quiet means you're at peace. Silent means you're holding something in. And when that silence starts to eat at your self-worth, it's no longer strength, it's damage. Too many people stay silent to avoid conflict, to keep things smooth, to not cause trouble. But deep down, they are not okay. They're slowly burning inside, pretending everything is fine. You may tell yourself it's not worth it. You may say, let it go, just to keep things peaceful. But when you're always the one adjusting, always the one bending, always the one swallowing your feelings, you begin to disappear. Slowly, piece by piece, your confidence fades. Your energy drops. Your heart feels heavy. That's the cost of silence. It doesn't just protect others, it drains you. Self-respect isn't about ego. It's not about always being right or having the last word. It's about knowing that your voice matters, that your feelings matter, that you deserve to be treated with basic kindness and respect, not just sometimes, but always. And when someone crosses that line, when someone disrespects you and you say nothing, you send a silent message. This is okay, but it's not. Every time you stay silent when you should speak, you shrink. You teach your own heart to accept less. You convince yourself that your comfort doesn't matter. And over time, that silence becomes a habit, a dangerous habit. Because the more you ignore your inner voice, the weaker it gets. Until one day you wake up and you don't recognize yourself anymore. People will always push boundaries. That's just how the world works. But it's your job to draw the line, to say, this is not okay. Not with shouting, not with hate, but with calm strength, with clarity, with dignity. Because you can be kind and still firm. You can be soft and still strong. You can speak without being rude and still protect your self-respect like a treasure. There will be moments when speaking up feels hard. Maybe it's someone close to you, a friend, a family member, someone you love. And that makes it harder, right? Because you don't want to hurt them. But ask yourself, if they really cared about you, would they want you to stay silent and hurt yourself just to keep them comfortable? When you keep accepting disrespect, you teach others that it's okay to treat you that way. And some people will keep doing it, not because they're bad, but because you never told them to stop. That's not love. That's fear disguised as peace. And peace that comes from silencing yourself is not real peace. It's a war you fight inside your own heart. Your self-respect is not up for negotiation. It's not something you trade for attention, love, or approval. It is the foundation of who you are. It is what keeps your head high when the world tries to pull you down. It is what reminds you that no matter how others see you, you are worthy. And no amount of silence should make you forget that. Being respectful doesn't mean staying silent. Being peaceful doesn't mean being passive. You are allowed to say, this hurts me. You are allowed to walk away from things that make you feel small. You are allowed to choose yourself, even when others don't understand. Because at the end of the day, you live with yourself, your heart, your mind, your soul. And that's the one person you should never betray. It's easy to blame people for the way they treat us. We say they were rude, they were careless, they didn't value us. And maybe that's true. Maybe they did take us for granted. But here's the truth that's harder to accept. They only kept doing it because we let them. People will only treat you the way you teach them to. From the very beginning, you send silent messages to the people around you. The way you react when someone crosses a line, the way you respond when someone disrespects your time, your effort, your kindness. Every time you ignore it, laugh it off, or say it's okay when it clearly isn't, you're setting the standard. You're showing them that this is acceptable. We all want to be liked. We want to avoid drama. We want to be the nice one. But sometimes, in trying to be liked, we forget to be respected. And the truth is, people don't respect what you don't protect. If you don't stand up for your time, they'll waste it. If you don't stand up for your peace, they'll disturb it. If you don't stand up for your heart, they'll hurt it without thinking twice. It's not always easy to speak up, especially if you're a person who's used to keeping the peace, who grew up being told not to make a fuss. Maybe you've been taught to stay quiet, to adjust, to always forgive, even when the other person doesn't change. But that's not strength. That's silence with a smile, and it can break you slowly. You deserve the kind of respect that doesn't have to be begged for. But you won't get it by wishing. You won't get it by hoping people just know better. You have to teach them. Not by shouting, not by fighting, but by being clear, by not laughing at things that hurt you, by not showing up for people who don't show up for you, by not pretending everything is fine when it's not. People are watching how you treat yourself. If you constantly say yes when you mean no, if you always give without receiving, if you keep accepting bad behavior without question, they'll think that's normal. They'll think you're okay with it. They'll think you'll stay no matter how they act. But the moment you begin to value your time, your energy, your emotions, people notice. And the ones who truly care will rise to meet your standards. The ones who don't, they'll call you changed. They'll say you've become distant or selfish. That's okay. Change always feels uncomfortable to those who benefited from your old version. It's not about being harsh or cruel. It's about being clear with yourself first, about what you deserve, about what is acceptable, about what you are no longer willing to tolerate. Because if you keep accepting the bare minimum, that's exactly what you'll get. The bare minimum. Sometimes we think, maybe if I'm kind enough, patient enough, loving enough, they'll see my worth. But the truth is, your worth doesn't increase with your suffering. It doesn't grow by staying silent. It shines brighter when you know your limits and you make them known. You have every right to expect kindness, honesty, and fairness. You have every right to protect your space, your mind, your soul. And if someone can't meet those standards, it's not your job to shrink. It's your job to stand tall and remind the world exactly how you deserve to be treated. For some reason, the word boundaries makes people uncomfortable, as if setting a limit means you're being cold or unkind. But that's not what boundaries are. Boundaries are not walls, they're not punishments, they are bridges that keep healthy relationships standing. They are quiet acts of self-respect. They say, this is what I need to feel safe, to feel valued, to feel okay. So many of us grow up being told to always be polite, to never say no, to always adjust. We're taught that saying, I don't like that, or please don't do this, is somehow rude or selfish. And that teaching stays in our bones. That's why even when we're hurting, we smile. Even when we're exhausted, we say yes. Even when someone crosses a line, we act like it didn't happen. But your peace is not a luxury, it's a necessity. If you keep allowing everything just to avoid making someone upset, you're the one who ends up broken. And when you fall apart, no one else feels the cracks. you do. That's why setting boundaries isn't about being rude, it's about being kind to yourself first. Imagine giving and giving until you have nothing left. You say yes to every plan, every favor, every request. You never speak up when someone's being unfair. You let things slide. At first, it feels like you're being strong, like you're being the bigger person. But over time, you begin to feel tired, drained, disconnected, and still you push yourself. That's not kindness, that's slow destruction. When you start setting boundaries, people might not like it, especially if they've gotten used to your silence, your flexibility, your always available energy. They might call you difficult. They might say you've changed. Let them, because setting boundaries is not about them. It's about you choosing to stop betraying yourself just to keep everyone else comfortable. You can say no with love. You can say, I need space without anger. You can say, I can't do this right now without guilt. These are not signs of weakness or disrespect. These are signs that you are finally listening to your own needs, that you are honoring your limits, that you are giving yourself the same care you so freely give to others. People who truly care about you will understand. They may not get it right away, but they will try. They will respect your space, your time, your emotions. And those who don't, they were only staying because your boundaries were low. That's a hard truth, but it's also a freeing one. There is nothing selfish about protecting your energy. There is nothing wrong with needing quiet. There is nothing rude about not answering every call, not being available all the time, not agreeing with everything someone says. You are not a machine. You are a human being with feelings, with limits, with a heart that needs rest too. If you don't set the rules for how you want to be treated, people will create their own. And not everyone has the same values. Not everyone has your heart. Some people will take more than they give. Some people will expect you to carry their load without ever asking if you're okay. And if you never draw the line, they will never stop. You can be loving and still say enough. You can be generous and still say not now. You can be supportive and still say this isn't good for me. That's not rude. That's rude. That's what protecting your peace looks like. There will always be people who expect you to fit into a version of yourself that makes them comfortable. Maybe it's quieter. Maybe it's more obedient. Maybe it's someone who never says no, never complains, never asks for more. And as long as you keep playing that role, everything feels peaceful. But it's not real peace. It's performance. It's survival. It's a lie told in a smile. The truth is, the moment you begin to show up as your true self, some people will flinch. They'll question the change. They'll ask why you're being so direct, so different. They'll say you're not who you used to be. And that's the point. You're not. You're growing, you're evolving, you're becoming someone who doesn't hide behind fear just to keep everyone else happy. But not everyone celebrates your growth, especially the ones who benefited from your silence. Some people liked you better when you didn't know your worth. When you said yes without thinking, when you took the blame just to end the argument, when you apologized just to keep the relationship alive. They liked that version because it made their life easier. But you weren't put on this earth to be easy for others. You were made to be honest, to be real, to be whole. And sometimes being whole means breaking the version of you that made others feel safe but made you feel invisible. It means upsetting people who never truly saw you, only the version of you that served them. There's a strange kind of pressure to keep the peace at all costs, especially in families, friendships, even workplaces. We're taught that being good means being agreeable, that love means self-sacrifice, that strength means never saying, this doesn't feel right. But what about your peace? What about your truth? What about the moments when staying quiet makes you lose yourself? Being true to yourself is not about being selfish. It's not about ignoring others. It's about finally including yourself in the equation. It's about saying, my voice matters too. My feelings count too. And yes, that honesty might shake the table. It might cause tension. It might make people uncomfortable. But the cost of hiding who you are is much greater than the cost of being misunderstood. You have the right to change your mind, to outgrow old patterns, to walk away from roles you never asked for. You have the right to become someone new, someone who doesn't tolerate what they used to. And that right is not something you need to explain or apologize for. Not everyone will like it. That's okay. Your life is not a group project. Your healing is not a public discussion. Some people will call it attitude. Some will say you've lost your softness. But the truth is, you've just stopped bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. You've learned that love without respect is not love, that loyalty without honesty is not loyalty, that peace without truth is not peace. And once you learn that, you can't unlearn it. You are allowed to set new rules. You are allowed to reintroduce yourself. You are allowed to say, this is me now, and this is what I need to be okay. The people who truly care will adjust. They might need time, but they'll try. And the ones who don't try, they never really saw you to begin with. They only saw what you could give them. There are moments in life when you'll do something brave, something difficult, something honest, and the world will stay silent. No one will notice the effort. No one will applaud the growth. No one will see the tears you wiped in private or the nights you stayed awake fighting battles inside your own head. And in those moments, it's easy to feel invisible, to wonder if what you're doing even matters. But here's what you have to remember. Applause is sweet, but it's not what defines you. The loudest validation must come from within. The most powerful recognition is the one you give yourself. Because truthfully, not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will see how far you've come. Not everyone will know what it cost you to smile today. And that's okay. You're not here to perform for others. You're here to live your truth. And sometimes that means clapping for yourself in an empty room. Sometimes it means being proud of yourself when no one else even notices the progress. When everyone is too busy, too distracted, too caught up in their own lives to see what you're carrying. You have to be the one who says, I did something important today. There's something powerful about becoming your own cheerleader, about not waiting for permission to feel proud, about saying, I'm enough without needing it to come from someone else's mouth. This world teaches us to rely on outside validation, on likes, on praise, on approval. But that kind of praise is temporary. It fades as fast as it arrives. What stays is the quiet pride you build on the inside. Sometimes you'll reach milestones that no one else will see as big. You'll heal from something that once broke you. You'll walk away from something toxic. You'll speak up when it would have been easier to stay silent. These aren't things that come with trophies. No medals, no certificates, but they matter more than anything else. They mean you're becoming the kind of person you once wished you were strong enough to be. When people don't notice your growth, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means they aren't paying attention. And that's not your fault. Not everyone will see how much you're evolving. Not everyone will celebrate your little wins. But little wins are still wins. Quiet steps are still steps. Healing is still progress, even when it's invisible to the world. You have to learn how to pause and appreciate your own journey. Not with pride that says, I'm better, but with peace that says, I'm getting better. That's the kind of applause that lasts. That's the kind that keeps you moving forward even when the crowd goes quiet. Because real growth is personal. Real strength is often silent, and real success is sometimes just surviving what tried to break you. There will always be someone doing more, someone louder, someone getting more recognition. But comparison steals joy. You are not here to beat anyone else. You are here to become more of who you are. And if that means celebrating your slow progress, your private victories, your small acts of courage, then celebrate them fully because they matter. You are allowed to be proud of yourself even when no one else claps. You are allowed to be your own witness, your own audience, your own support system. And you don't need a stage to feel seen. You just need to look in the mirror and say, I see you. I'm proud of you. Keep going.